All right, Richard, welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Goodfellas, where we talk about the top 24 quarterbacks for Week 8. But like always, before we get started, let's just review how we did on Week 7.
Well, in Week 7, we got 22 of 24 correct. We missed on Cam Newton, who we had at 14, and Andy Dalton, who we had at 20. And other than that, we hit on everything else. We got, of the top 16, of our top 16, 12 were in the real top 16. And of our top 12, 8 were in the top 12, in the real top 12. So it was actually a really good week. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, let's get started for the top 24 quarterbacks for Week 8. The Fantasy Goodfellas.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellas.
At number 1, we have Patrick Mahomes, who will be home against the Jets. Good matchup against the lowly Jets. It's Pat Mahomes. We're going to put him at number 1. At number 2, Aaron Rodgers, who will be home against Minnesota. It seems like other than the dud he had in Week 6, Aaron Rodgers has been on fire. And Minnesota hasn't been very good. So we expect more of the Aaron Rodgers air show. At number 3, we have Russell Wilson, who'll be home against San Francisco. Wilson has been unbelievable this year. And San Francisco's been playing well, but Wilson will get his points. At number 4, Tom Brady at the New York Giants. Good matchup, and Brady's been on fire. At number 5, Ryan Tannehill at Cincinnati. This is the highest we've had Tannehill all year. He keeps performing. Is Ryan Tannehill playing the best football of his career?
Well, he's passing for 1,590 yards. He's got 15 TDs with only 2 interceptions, and Tennessee's 5-1. Right now, he's currently the 8th best fantasy quarterback on a per game basis. So I would say he's playing the best, football of his life, and it doesn't really have to do too much.
Yeah, it helps when you have Derrick Henry in the backfield. But still, we got to give Tannehill credit. And he also has good receivers, namely A.J. Brown. But we got to give him credit. He has played very well this season. And number 6, Derek Carr at Cleveland. We talked about Derek Carr, a little underappreciated. He keeps producing. Played a tough Tampa Bay defense this past week, and did well. So now against a bad Browns pass defense, I expect him to do excellent.
I think this is going to be the shootout. This week's shootout.
Hey, I hate to include Baker Mayfield in a shootout, but hey, he did well this past week, so you might not be too far off. And number 7, Carson Wentz, home against Dallas. It's a great matchup, right? Dallas has been horrible, defensively. And Carson Wentz, has his warts, but it's a good matchup, and that's why we have him all the way up to number 7. And number 8, Justin Herbert at Denver. Man, has the rookie been good. Ryan, I got a question for you. Who is the 4th best fantasy quarterback on a per game basis?
Well, I'm glad you asked. That's Justin Herbert. He's got 1,542 passing yards, 12 TDs, only 3 interceptions in 5 games. I mean, for a rookie, he's coming in there, on fire. So he's doing really well.
Yeah, and he's always going to be compared to Tua Tagovailoa, who starts this week for the Dolphins. We're really excited about that. We will see. Did the Dolphins make the right call? I think they did, but man, Justin Herbert's look good. And number 9, Matt Ryan at Carolina. Matt Ryan is leading the league in passing yards, and he has a good matchup, so we have to keep him in our top 10. And then at number 10, Lamar Jackson, home against Pittsburgh. Tough defensive matchup, but here's the good part about it. Lamar Jackson may have to keep up with Ben Roethlisberger, who will probably put up points against the Ravens, even against the stout Ravens defense. He's going to put up points, which is going to force Lamar Jackson to take action, not just rely on the run. And number 11, Joe Burrow, home against Tennessee. Joe Burrow, another rookie, has been unbelievable. I mean, granted, he was the first overall pick, right, of this last draft. He's been very good. He's over 2,000 yards passing, third in the league right now. in passing yards, which is great. Here's the thing, though. He's playing Tennessee. Not that Tennessee has a great pass defense or anything, but they do have Derrick Henry. And I expect them to run a lot, take a lot of the time, off the clock, so Burrow might not have that 400-yard game he had last week. And number 12, Drew Brees at Chicago. Kind of the opposite here, right? The Bears are really bad offensively. So that means that they punt a lot, and that means that Drew Brees will have the ball a lot. Chicago's got a good defense, but Drew Brees is going to have ample opportunity. Hence, we have him at 12. And number 13, Josh Allen, home against New England. Josh Allen started the season great, and he's got a good matchup now. New England's hasn't looked good, but he's also slowed down the last couple of weeks, including a matchup against the Jets where he didn't have the spectacular fantasy game that everybody thought he was going to have. So we have him down at 13. And number 14, Ben Roethlisberger at Baltimore. Big Ben is playing a tough defense, and he's going to get his point. He hasn't been very impressive fantasy-wise, and I think that has to do a little bit with his lack of mobility. And number 15, Tua Tagovailoa. He's home against the Rams. Boom, boom, boom. Tua. If we get the Tua from Alabama, the guy that put up, broke all sorts of records. Dolphins are going to be good. I mean, it's going to open up the offense even more than the Chan Gailey offense, even more than Ryan Fitzpatrick did, because Tua obviously has a stronger arm, is more mobile, just does everything a little better than Fitzpatrick, or hopefully a lot better than Fitzpatrick. We'll see. But for now, we have him at 15 because we don't know what we have yet. And number 16, we have Teddy Bridgewater, home against Atlanta. Teddy's been inconsistent this year. He's had his moments. He's got two great receivers in Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore, but he needs to be more consistent to move up. And number 17, Baker Mayfield, home against Las Vegas. Baker Mayfield had a good game week 7. Let's see if it carries over to week 8. He's got a good matchup. And number 18, Jared Goff, who will be at Miami. And that Dolphins defense is a little underrated at the moment. They're starting to get it together. So Jared Goff, we have him at 18. At 19, Matthew Stafford, home against Indianapolis. That's a good defense. Ryan?
Well, you took the words out. I'm looking forward to this matchup. Obviously, Matthew Stafford's been very consistent for the last few years, but this year in this game, he's going up against the number 2 ranked defense. So definitely looking forward to that matchup and seeing if he can kind of do well.
Number 20, we have Cam Newton at Buffalo. Cam's looked pretty bad the last couple of weeks. Buffalo's a team defense. I mean, you can throw against them. They haven't been great defensively, but let's see what Cam Newton does. I'm starting to wonder about that offense and that Bill Belichick system. And number 21, Kirk Cousins at Green Bay. Kirk Cousins, another one, hasn't been very good this season, but he does have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, and of course, he's got Dalvin Cook in the backfield. So he has weapons, which puts him in the top 24, but he himself hasn't been great. At 22, Phillip Rivers at Detroit, another quarterback that hasn't produced, has weapons. I mean, he's got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, has T.Y. Hilton. That whole offense hasn't been great. They rely more on the run, but at number 23, Jimmy Garoppolo at Seattle. Jimmy hasn't looked good since coming back from injury. We'll see. I don't know if it's a little rust at this point. It's 3 weeks in since coming back. We'll see how he does. And number 24, Drew Lock, home against the Chargers. This is a matchup situation, and Drew Lock is at home. He's got a good matchup. We'll see what he does. And that's your top 24.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on here and sharing your top 24. I know this stuff helps me kind of prepare and kind of get me into my lineups and makes me pay attention to what's going on. So I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your top 20.
No problem. It's good. It's always good to get someone else's perspective. So this is very educational for me as well.
All right. Well, good luck.
All right.